a little bit about ammunition, and especially big bore cartridges. Well, to begin with, part of last century, you had the makers in Britain. That was Kinnock and Eli and ICI and a few others. And in Germany you had DWM, Deutsche Waffen- und Munitionsfertigung. And then you had RWS, Rheinisch-Westfälisches. And you had Dynamit Nobel, and that was part of them all. But you also had in Sweden, you had the Bofors, and you had many others. Interestingly, in the end of 1800s, before smokeless powder came, the black powder express cartridges was actually loaded as far north as Sweden, and they were used very much around the continent before the Nitro Express came, and after. It was a very good cartridge, about 330 to 350, 60, 80 grains. Wide round nose bullet, flat nose bullet, hollow point bullet, and there were other types of it also. Some based on the similar case, like the 400 Nitro Express, 400 black powder. These were usually in the 3.25-inch case, and that was a lower ranged weight due to diameter, about 350 grain, a little bit lower. When the Nitro Express came, adopted by and came out with the John Rigby in 1898, you were up on different levels at once. You had a 480 grain bullet at 2150 feet, energy about almost 4800 to 5000 foot-pounds, what you needed to be able to hit through the big giants of the world, like the big rhino, the hippo, elephant, the gaur down in Asia, walrus up in the Arctic, and also polar bear. You have one cartridge in a rifle that weighed so much less than the big 8 bores, 10 bores, and others and even larger, so like the 4 bores. And just a couple of years later, when even smaller cartridges based off military ones came, like the 6.553 Dutch Mannlicher, 7.57 Mauser, 8mm Mauser, 303 British, when that got decent bullets, and also other civilian derivatives like the 318 Wesley Richards, 333 Jeffrey, which is quite similar in some of the later modern ones, up to the 1920s, when the Germans were making a series on the full-length 404 Jeffrey case, necking that down to a 93mm, 8mm, 765mm. You had a cartridge that was about 60 years ahead of what the Remington then would call the Remington Ultra Magnums. Sadly, there was a few historical epochs that make those cartridges dwindle into popularity, and also there was some notable good friends that always was around on those smaller levels, like the 9357 Mauser, popularly known as potato thrower, the 9x57 Mauser, a very good just cartridge that has a straight wall penetration and doesn't stop in very much, and it's still seen as one of the better. But then it was the queen, the 9362 Mauser, or Bock, as his name of the inventor was Otto Bock. He took the 286 grain 9.3 bullet into that case of 62 millimeter, and the world just trembled, because now you had 5-shot reload capability in a cartridge that was similar to the British 375 H&H and many others, but you had now a direct access you could go after what you would be able to see. Just put the bullet where it's needed. It was also used a bit militarily during the World War I, but it was also with some expeditions abroad also, and patrol rifles too. And that leads to an interesting derivative of those rifles. Like a couple of perhaps the most genius in Europe, the Americans, they have a John Moses Browning, which developed weapons and ammunition for them. And in Europe we have Wilhelm Brennecke. He developed several cartridges like 864S Brennecke and the rimmed version, which get R after the name. And he also took that case into 7mm, which is 764, and he also did the same with the rimmed version, and that was 765 rimmed. And you have the queen of them also, the 9364 Brennecke. Interestingly is that he also made a double rifle or a drilling cartridge called 9365 rimmed Brennecke, and that one is so powerful that you need a strong lock for it. It wasn't built many rifles for it, but you would have the power of, you would have more than a 375 H&H in a more compact cartridge, and that means you can carry more with you. You can have more boxes in package cases when you're leaving for a large expedition and a long-term safari. Remember, this was the age of porters, and if you can afford it today, it is the age of porters, where every ounce counted, and every boy that you had in the caravan with you, they had their each pack. Remember, you were packing everything you needed, like the tents, the cutlery, their provisions, your provisions, their clothing, your clothing, everything. Everybody was similar. Their life was in a pack. And your life was also in someone else's pack or divided. So the better ergonomics you could start with before you went out, and that was also included in the ammo and tableware also, or folding chair, the better life you would have it on the trek. So Brennecke was very ahead there. Later years, or recent years, Harald Wolff, who then had the Hatari times, he made some of those 9365 rifles, built them himself as a gunsmith, and he wrote about it. It's a fantastic story. But we also can see where other cartridges of them were. The German 868S, which is one of the finer ones developed. Like if you want an 8mm above 857, or if you that one is very hard to beat, since you can take 250 grain or even higher 8mm bullets also, and they will just push them where they're going. Plus, German designed weapons and ammo is much cheaper to find than British built ones. It may be of the heritage, it may be of the interest, it may be of the financial value, or some of them turned up, but 757 Mauser is always a good one to have. And if you both have a rimmed version and the Mauser rifle, and you reload your ammo for both of them, you just need one bullet one reloader die, and 2 cases.